Hey there! So today I want to talk to you about this MacBook Pro 16-inch late 2020 edition, which I purchased quite recently, and I want to talk to you whether I'm satisfied with it, whether I would recommend it, and whether it works for an architect. So let's get started. To begin with, well, I do have a Windows workstation as my main computer, so this is a secondary solution, the one that I take on the go, the one that I take to the meetings. I can work somewhere else. You have to keep that in mind. I would never buy this as my only computer, if you will. To give it a little bit more context, well, I work with Windows most of the times. I use Autodesk Revit quite a lot. I use AutoCAD, I use Adobe Suite, so some of these programs are made for iOS and Windows, and some of these programs are made only for Windows, like Autodesk Revit. Buying this, I knew that I'm going to install a bootcamp on it, and I'm going to run Windows most of the times. I talk about it from the perspective of using Windows most of the times. Is it fast? Hell yeah, it's plenty fast. I have 32 gigs of RAM, I have i9 Intel processor, the last Intel processor for these MacBooks. Obviously, so that's one of the reasons why I bought it, because I'm able to put Windows inside. The next generation I will not be able to put Windows on it, because they're gonna change to Apple Silicon and they do not support Windows, so that's another story, but I'm using Windows and I have very little problems with it. Programs like Revit run smooth, I have no problem with it. SketchUp, AutoCAD, they're all snappy, it works great. I have Adobe Suite on Windows as well, because I don't want to switch all the time, so no problem there at all. The design, the overall quality is what I expected. It's very solid, it looks beautiful, it's nice to touch, nice materials. You obviously pay extra for that, but that was my choice. Overall, I have very mixed feelings about it, because I expect it to be nearly perfect, because it's so expensive. But not all the things are that great. So this huge trackpad here, well, it's supposed to be a good thing and people are talking about it as it was great. In my personal use, there is no actual physical place to rest your palm on, because I cannot work like that. I would put my hand here, right? And so I would be putting my hand on this actual trackpad. So that means I can press it accidentally or cause some multi-gesture without wanting it. So as funny as it sounds, I wish it was a little smaller as it used to be. Also, it used to have a physical touch. Now it's a haptic feedback, so you don't physically touch it, it just vibrates a little bit. And that does not give me the feel of the control that I used to have with the older trackpad of the MacBooks. So it's kind of great because it's bigger, but for usability and practicality, I prefer the older one. Maybe it's just me, but I want to tell you that maybe you feel the same way. The other thing is this nice looking Touch ID bar. It's like another screen with a touch screen, because you don't have a touch screen here, obviously, which on the first glimpse, once again, looks fine. It's a nice screen, looks modern, looks cool, but once again, when I type and I work with the mouse, so I would keep one hand on the keyboard, something like that, because I need to press escape quite a lot in working with AutoCAD, Revit or whatever, SketchUp. Sometimes I would put my hand where an F1 needs to be, because it's next to the escape, but I would just hold it gently. But what happens with Touch ID bar, I would dim it without wanting it. And that's really frustrating to me, because I would constantly change brightness. That just interrupts my workflow, interrupts what I'm doing, and I cannot seem to get used to that. So I wish they had regular keys like I used to have. That was really working. Why change it if it works really well? Well, they were not asking that question for sure. The next obvious thing is the pricing. Well, this thing is pretty expensive compared to the Windows, similar performing Windows laptop. It's a question whether you pay for this Apple logo or maybe this overall quality, because like this casing, this aluminum case, the finish, the the way it's built together, it's really good. I mean, you should pay extra for that. Is it worth the performance that you get? I mean, it's obviously overpriced and they take advantage of a good design. And being an architect, I kind of understand that. I wish that I can only create better design and I would get paid more for the better design, even though the functionality is the same, so I guess it's okay. Oh, one more thing. If you run Windows, like I do most of the times, the battery life, it's terrible actually. Well, in the iOS I can get maybe 8 hours of browsing, typing, so I can work all day long. On Windows it's 2 to 4 hours for me personally using Revit, you know, some productivity work. It's not optimized for Windows. The battery is drained really fast, so you have to keep that in mind. It's one of the sacrifices you have to make when you use Windows on a Mac machine, because they do not care for your battery life using Windows. It is what it is. What else is not that great is, if you look closely here, you see that you only have 2 USB-C or Thunderbolt 3 ports. Have 2 here and 2 on the other side. I mean, really? Why did they put this headphone jack in? I mean, you can buy an adapter, right? Why not? You have to keep in mind that you will have to keep carrying all kind of dongles with you, adapters that you can use to plug something inside, because right now if you go to a meeting, you want to connect a projector, for example, there is no way you need an adapter, so you cannot plug a HDMI cable, you cannot plug USB, an older one. Only the headphone jack is here for you. There are some good things. For instance, the screen. The screen is beautiful. It's crisp, it's sharp, it's all I want it to be, and it has smaller bezels around the screen because it is 16-inch. So I wanted it for a long time and the screen looks amazing. The speakers are larger and they sound amazing. They sound even better than some external speakers, and these are probably the best speakers on the laptop you can get today. The keyboard, despite this Touch ID bar, it has an amazing feel. It has a short travel, but it gives you a very nice feel when you type it, so I just love it. I think it's one of the best keyboards on the market too. It just makes you want to type even more when you type it, so that's a good thing. So let's wrap it up. Do I regret buying this one? Since I have a workstation with Windows, which I do most of my work on, it's alright for a solution on a go, going to meetings, you know, working somewhere else. It does the job, is plenty fast and plenty powerful, even using Bootcamp and Windows. But if you are using a ArchiCAD and the programs that are designed for iOS, then it's not wise to buy the last Intel-based MacBook Pro. You wait for this Apple Silicon chip, because it's gonna be able to perform much better, because programs are gonna be created for that chip. And you know, for Windows it's just a workaround solution, but for me, I did not mind to pay a little bit extra for the nice design. So here we go. If I was starting out as an architect with limited resources, I would never in my life buy this one, because it's so expensive and you can have the same performance, or even maybe better performance with Windows, with a Windows laptop, obviously. If you really want to have MacBook and Windows experience, this is probably the last laptop you can get right now, so go ahead and get it. If you're working with iOS apps like ArchiCAD, just wait for an Apple Silicon chip, because it would make much more sense to you. So don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you did like it, and see you next time.